We've specifically looked at the signaling capability in fat cells, and we found that when ketones come to fat cells, including fat cells in humans, that it starts to activate an uncoupling process at the mitochondria. Now, briefly, all that means is basically the ketones result in the mitochondria in fat cells being much more active. It basically stimulates the metabolic rate in the fat cells by about 2 or 3 times over normal. And again, that's not because the ketones being burned for energy. It's because there, once again, is a G protein coupled receptor on the fat cell that is activated when ketones come knocking. And then that tells the cell to do something. That yes, ketones are an energy. That's why, the brain so greedily pulls in ketones, because it has an energetic value. It has a caloric value roughly similar to glucose, about 4 calories per gram. But independent of that is its signaling capabilities, where it's really, these are molecules that, again, are an energy source, maybe desperate for the brain, or the brain becomes desperate for it. So it's a very good, viable energy source, but also a good and viable signaling molecule that provides an anti-inflammatory and even, dare I say, metabolic benefit. It was basically helping people understand the fact that they need not be afraid of any modest increase in insulin that comes from dietary protein, because if it happens in the context of a low-carb diet, then the commensurate increase in insulin's opposite is glucagon, namely, is greater than or equal to what the change in insulin is. And that matters. So in other words, if you eat some protein and you're eating it with carbohydrate, which in nature never happens, never. In nature, protein comes with fat. It doesn't come with carbs. If you eat your protein with glucose, then you get a big increase in insulin, bigger than it would have been if it was just glucose alone. So no question, the protein adds to the insulinogenic effect of a carbohydrate. But also, they're not supposed to come together. If you eat the protein with the fat and there's no carb, well, then there may be a modest insulin increase, but there's a relatively greater glucagon increase. And glucagon is insulin's opposite in many, many ways, including ketogenesis. So whereas that little elevation in insulin is trying to inhibit the production of ketones, that relatively greater increase in glucagon is overcoming that, and in fact, acting more as a stimulatory effect. So offsetting the modest increase in insulin. So to wrap all of that up, my concluding thought is, for the average individual who's focusing on just improving their health, no reason to fear protein, but be smart about it. Don't eat your protein with carbs, because you will, in fact, amplify that insulin effect. Let the protein come with the fat that it wants to come with in nature. And if you're adding anything to it, let it be that you're adding a little olive oil or a little butter or whatever, not carbs. Rather, add a little fat if you need to, because that fat will not increase insulin.
Annotated and summarized, easy to share with loved ones. The description below the title for this video has these summary points.